Okay, so here is my review for Despicable Me 2 4K Ultra HD. It's a movie I've seen before. I own it. I've seen it multiple times. This is the second. Well, they were released at the same time, but the first two discs to be released with Dolby Vision on them in the 4K format. Resident Evil Vendetta, I believe, is also going to be released with Dolby Vision. It's just that's not a movie I plan to buy because I don't want it. These movies are great. I had said earlier in my review that the first one was better than the second one. I still slightly prefer the first one because it's just the first one I saw and I really like that story. It's a very sweet story, and it's the beginning of Gru's. You know, you get to know Gru and then sort of see this villain who sort of slowly softens and becomes this, this man who's affected by these kids. I just think it's a beautiful story. And this is also, I hadn't seen this for a while, and I'd forgotten how good this was as well. This is really funny. This is more action-y, more along the lines of a James Bond kind of thing. It's a very, very good film, and what struck me about the Dolby Vision with the first one was that when having watched it in HDR10 and then getting the Dolby Vision patch to the update to work for my OppO, was that the Dolby Vision seemed to tame the colors down a little bit. At first my eyes had to adjust to it, and I thought, well, it looks a little bit duller, but just as I started to watch, realized that it just seemed a little bit more, the colors just weren't as oversaturated. They just seemed a little bit more tamed down, and the whole picture seemed to blend a little bit better. With this one, it's a breathtaking picture. It is beautiful, and it's just it's hard to take your eyes off of it. It's quite amazing. Now, I don't know that necessarily, it's hard to make animation look bad. I mean, that's on the OLED. I know this would look just as good, or it would look spectacular either way on my Samsung JS9500 LCD. Animation tends to look good on whatever you play it on, but the OLED does really do a great job with it, and the Dolby Vision really just makes the picture very, very crisp. One thing I did notice, though, however, was when I was watching things on the OLED, now and again when I was watching content, I would have to go in and change the motion settings. Sometimes I'd see a little bit of blur in a certain film, and if I changed the motion settings to say user or to clear or to smooth, it would get rid of it. But different films seem to be affected by it in different ways, so different settings would fix the issue. Maybe this wouldn't be the case with this film, I don't know, but when I was watching in HDR10, I had to do that when I first started watching the film. I noticed in the first scene there was a little bit of that, and I changed the motion settings, and it got rid of the issue. With this, with an HDR10, in Dolby Vision, for some reason there's none of that, and I don't know why that is. I can't explain it, but there is no issue whatsoever with any sort of issues with motion. Everything is just perfect. It's perfect. And I don't know if it's just the way that the logarithm sort of works with the picture, if it gets rid of those sort of issues, but I'm pretty impressed with Dolby Vision. Now, I don't know that animation is going to be the best thing to really tell us how good Dolby Vision is going to be. I think I'd have a better opportunity to tell that with other types of films. Something like The Revenant, I think, would be a better choice to say, show me the difference, or show any of us the difference. Something like Planet Earth, or anything that was maybe more live action and had more varied scenes. Nature and dark and light and sunlight and then really dark areas. A lot of dark, something like Underworld or something like that might do a better job of showing us the power of Dolby Vision. Lucy is another one I know I've seen some people do they've shown us sort of what Dolby Vision can do off of Vudu. A lot of people have asked me about Vudu and said, well, why don't you, get Vudu for the Dolby Vision? Unfortunately, Vudu's not available in Canada, so that that's not something I can do at this point, but it's good to see some physical media showing up with Dolby Vision. I'm guessing it's probably going to be a relatively slower rollout than HDR10, and I'm not sure how many discs are going to start showing up with Dolby Vision. So, you know, we'll see, but so far I am impressed. Now, this movie itself doesn't have an Atmos track. It does have DTSX, but the picture, as I said, is incredible. The audio is incredible. These movies are so good for that. Movie-wise, I gave Despicable Me a 5, and it's hard for me not to give this a 5 too, but so I'll give it a 4.5 because I do slightly prefer Despicable Me's impact as a story. Picture quality wise, it's easily a 5. I mean, it has a lot of animation, it's easily a 5, and audio quality wise, it's a 5. Definitely, I definitely suggest picking it up. If you own it on Blu-ray, if you're a big fan of these movies, yes, I would say it's worth a pickup again. If you have a set that's capable of Dolby Vision, again, if you're a big fan of these films, I'd say yes, pick it up again. Now, the Blu-ray looks amazing, upscaled as well, so if you like these films, but you really don't feel that you want to invest the money in them again, I would say no, don't bother doing it, because there's a lot of other stuff you could be purchasing, other stuff that's coming down the pipe in the next number of months, and we're starting to see sort of an avalanche of content now. So, you know, I just noticed that The Fifth Element's up for pre-order. Leon the Professional is up for pre-order. There's a lot of content that's coming. So, again, if you haven't seen these films, definitely these are two movies you want to own if you like animation and just like good films. They're like, you know, it's like a lot of the Disney films, but even I think more so with these DreamWorks films. They're for kids, but they're really, if you're an adult with children, you're going to have just as much of a good time sitting there with your kids watching them. You may even find yourself sometimes throwing them in when they're not home. And if you're an adult without kids like myself, you're probably going to love these movies. So definitely worth a pickup. Two other films I actually this one came today, Great Gatsby. I'm just looking forward to seeing it just because of the it looks like a very bright kind of colorful movie. I don't know that the film itself will be that great. And I forgot to mention this the other day that I picked this up last week, and this is the Mummy Ultimate Trilogy. Originally had just pre-ordered the first film because it's my favorite of them, but somehow ended up being out of stock, even though I pre-ordered it months before. And I really do like the second one. I've seen about half of the third one and it was okay. So far I've watched about half of the first one, and it's a much better transfer than the Blu-ray. It looks pretty good, and the HDR does really take advantage of certain aspects of the film. Would I buy it again if I already owned it on Blu-ray? Yeah, I would say it's a big upgrade over the Blu-ray if you're a fan of the film. If you're not, don't bother. Of course don't. But I've also heard the second one is noticeably better, but not the same sort of gap that the first one has on the Blu-ray. And the third film, I haven't watched that yet either, and I've seen half of it a long time ago, and it's just not a great movie, so I don't even know that I'll watch it. I'll probably throw it in just to see the transfer, but it's not a film I can see myself watching through. But the first Mummy as a film, I would definitely give it a 4 out of 5. Picture quality wise, from what I've seen to this point, it's a 4, 3.5, 4. It's a 5 for how old the film is and what they were able to do with the transfer, but overall versus the other 4K transfers available, it's I would definitely say it's a 3.5 or a 4, which again says a lot for a movie that came out in the 90s. It does look very good, and audio wise, it's a 4.5. It's pretty good. Second film, as I said, I haven't looked at the film yet, but as I would say, The Mummy Returns as a movie is a 4. To me, I really enjoy that film, and I would say I can't tell you picture or audio quality wise, as I said, because I haven't watched it. So whenever I do another Blu-ray update, I'll let you know what I think. Anyway, yeah, any questions or comments? Despicable Me 2, definitely worth picking up, especially if you have a Dolby Vision, or if you don't. It looks amazing in HDR10 too. The HDR10 was a little bit more, I thought, vibrant, and the color is very, very bright and a little bit oversaturated, but it's I wouldn't have noticed that unless I had watched the Dolby Vision version and sort of saw that there was a difference. So either way, I mean, it's something that you're going to want in your collection if you collect 4K films early into this technology, because it looks good in any way you slice it. But the Dolby Vision is pretty impressive with this movie. It does really tone it down to where I think it looks the way it was intended to look. So have a great day. Again, any questions or comments, throw them in the comment section. I'll try to get to them. And yeah, God bless, much love.